to OATs Uncut, Orator Academy Talks Uncut, where our conversations are unscripted, unfiltered, honest, transparent, organic, and just real. Our conversations are about inspiring people, about their journeys through life, and how their personalities and their communication abilities and ability to connect with people has helped them navigate through life, different scenarios of life. And I love it when I come across a story of pivots, because personally my own life has been a life of pivots. So with that mindset and with that story, I would like to introduce my guest today, Shalini Shamnath. Shalini, welcome to OATs Uncut.
Thank you so much.
So,
looking forward to being part of this little talk that we're going to have. I don't call it a podcast.
Yes.
I'll be more comfortable then.
It's a conversation, really.
Yeah.
It's that's the technical term, and I don't like technical terms. Anyway, so this is a talk. If you notice, I call her G, right?
Yes.
Why would I call you G? If you want to tell the audience?
I think you're better at explaining than I am.
So G is a. When I call you G, I hesitate a little bit also, because sometimes people say, "What do you think? How old am I? That you must call me G." But G is actually a very respectful suffix in the Indian culture. It's a suffix of showing respect to somebody, honoring somebody, whether it's because of age, social status, respect for wisdom, or any kind of superiority in any case. And it comes from the Sanskrit language, which is a short for the word Jeev, which means being. So every being around us, we can say G too. So since Shalini G is my senior, I would, in many capacities, in every capacity, I would like to call her as Shalini G. So thank you for allowing me to use G for you.
But you know what? Sometimes I feel like calling you G because you're so wise, much wiser than my years. You have gathered so much of interesting knowledge, interesting everything that I so much admire. So sometimes I feel it might be a reverse role, and I call you Vineeta G because you've become my teacher in many ways.
And I was so confident that she'll put in a good word for me, and that's why I couldn't wait to do this. I said I must definitely bring in people who are so good for my ego.
No, it's from the heart.
It is, of course, because you have been like that. You've been a very straightforward, straight shooter kind of a person, I think.
Very much like you. You know, Vineeta, I always tell you, you're my younger twin.
Yes, and then I look at you and I think, she's rocking it. She's killing at it, so I think I should be fine too.
You will be. You'll be better than fine. Far ahead.
I don't know about that. But you inspire me in so many ways, because, you know, even though you think that, okay, this is a podcast and why should I be a part of it, and why do you want to talk to me? I feel in our everyday life there are so many people who inspire us. You come from a North Indian family, you got married into another North Indian family, but very different in upbringing. So as a woman, I think a woman is constantly pivoting in terms of her roles, her personalities, and her conduct,
and her background,
and her backgrounds, because of what's dealt to you. So would you like to give us a little brief story of where you were at and where you are now?
Okay, so I have to go a long back, maybe 55, 60 years now. I was brought up in a very simple, orthodox, I won't say a very orthodox, because my father was quite forward-minded for those days, and he let me be what and who I wanted to be, also teaching me where the demarcation and where the Lakshman Rekha was. So I have to say that I have so much to be thankful for to my father and mother, especially my father. My mother was a simple housewife, but my father pushed me into fulfilling my dreams, which I had plenty, but I didn't really reach many. So when I was almost 21, how the family said, she's so old, not married, what's wrong with you? But my father said, I don't find anybody that I think can suit her, because I was a strong personality like him. Anyway, then finally I did get married into a much more conservative, politically associated family. I came from a hardcore Punjabi background and got married into a family who were called Dilliwals. So they were, their background for generations, they had been in Delhi. And yes, it was a big cultural shock, total different background. I came from a family where I could speak my my mind. I had a right to argue sometimes with my father, of course, very respectfully. But I came into a family where my mother-in-law, all of 72 at that time, was born in Oxford. She was conservative in many ways, but very forward also. She taught me. I was a spoiled, a only girl who was told that everything is on a platter. You don't have to learn cooking. Somebody will do it for you, as my father used to say, "Sharir ko kasht dena mahapaap hai." Anyway, so I wrongly, and my mother-in-law never expected me to be in the kitchen, but she taught me how to be properly attired. The servants were old. The family was very, very old. How I had to conduct myself in front of the relatives. How I had to change my way of the dialect, the pronunciations, because I came from a Punjabi family. I didn't speak Punjabi, but my Hindi was, like a mixture. So she corrected my diction, she corrected my way of meeting people, of greeting people, I think she was my guidance and my guide who I can never stop thanking. I think whatever I am good, the good is hers, bad is mine.
I want to pause a little bit. I want to go back to your mentioning of your relationship as an unmarried girl with your family. You were allowed to respectfully argue.
Yes, I was respectfully argue, but here...
So that's good to hear. That's
yes.
heartening to hear that, in every generation. So it's sometimes a misconception that so to say, the Indian society would be not giving women equal rights. It depends on the family, because I also never felt that I was suppressed in any way growing up, and you are a few years older than I am, and you also, I was happy to hear you say respectfully argue, because I've lived by that, and I always teach my students that you can put your point across
respectfully. Yes.
So I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes, and that I think that was the right was given to me by my father, to be honest.
And did you feel that you could not respectfully argue when you got married?
No, it was not respectfully or argue. It was, my mother-in-law was used to another way of bringing up the kids, where the older people's word was kind of law, and we had to, not law, but I mean, they were right. So I was always a bit skeptical and a bit hesitant to actually argue with her. So if she said something which I didn't agree with, I would try and put my view forward, but hesitantly, because I wasn't sure about the response. Here I was, because I knew my father was very healthy, and it was always we were allowed to discuss with him. But maybe she was much older, and she came from a family where her father was a total very, very disciplined. So she grew up in a very different way of being brought up by her father. She lost her mother very young, so her father brought up the girls. So I don't blame her for how she would bring up her kids, and then I was also part of the children. But yes, I could not really argue even with her.
But did your relationship with her then evolve to a point where you could then discuss or debate? If not...
No, she died just about 7 years after I got married, so there was not much time, because she used to live abroad a lot too. But she did mold me into a very different human being than what I had got married as. She taught me the finesse, the finer points of life. She taught me, for example, small things like Scrabble, like bridge. Can you imagine for those days? She would even, share a shandy with me. So there was another aspect of her which was always so different than the very disciplined demeanor and different nature she had. So if dinner was 8, we were at the table at 5 to 8. And if we were going out for a meal, we had. So those are the things which I did not know, and because I grew up in a very home where we had a lot of freedom that way. Yeah.
So a political family, socially very upward and out there, but yet very regimented, very disciplined,
yes.
And very particular about the conduct.
Yes, very particular about the conduct. Attire also.
And attire too.
Yes, I never came out without a sari from my room, and whether it was 5 in the morning or 8 at night. So it was, yes, I had to adapt myself to a very different environment than from where I had come.
And she was also like that? She would always be seen in a sari?
Always so elegantly dressed, Yeah.
So sari is not really a symbol of suppression. It is actually, I love my saris.
Saris, I know. We all know that, yes. So it was not suppression, it was just the way that I would, as a daughter-in-law of the home, of this house, which was very politically connected, and there were servants who'd been there for 2 generations or whatever. So I had to be brought out in a manner where she used to bring herself out. Yes. So she wanted her daughter-in-law to be a bit like.
It was more like a family profile.
Yes,
had to be adhered to.
You put it correctly. Family profile.
Yeah. That's amazing. So from then, so you lost her 7 years into your marriage. From then, have you changed or have you maintained how she groomed you the first 7 years?
Surprisingly, I did maintain quite a bit of how she groomed me. Those were tender years, and she could mold me so beautifully that I never really felt that I was being, my whole way of living and my looking at things was being changed. I took it just for granted that this is how it is. So maybe I changed my little more in my attire, but still till today my sister-in-law, who's 86 now, says when I come back it's like coming back to mummy's home, because I still have quite a bit of discipline that she taught me. And you know what? I love it.
And discipline is also a way of communicating to the world your standards of life.
Yes, you're very right, because even among my friend circle, they all know that if Shalini means one, it means one. If blah blah whatever, because she really instilled that into me so beautifully without making me feel that I was being taught by her, because she was so gentle in her ways of teaching.
And do you think the next generation has also followed suit?
Well, the next generation, my children left very early for their education, so I didn't have much of a say in their growing up because they left when they were 16.
I'm sure that instinctively all your children have that in their DNA, because even though they left home early, they were with you under your roof till about 16. They, just by growing up in the environment that you created for them, there's certain things that intrinsically become a part of you. So I think they must have, even though, and they will become like that when they are older, because at least I feel that about myself. I resented several things that my mother was imposing. I still use the word imposing on me, but I find myself
doing the same
thing now.
Yes.
So, and I remind myself, like, what are you doing? You're becoming a mother. But I guess somewhere I do understand why she was doing it. But as a child, it's rite of passage, right? That you must defy.
So yes, in a few ways, you're very right. It is coming out now that they're getting older and more mature now. Yes.
And so, your relationship with your children, and then you see their relationship with their children. Do you see any similarities in the way that you were with them, that they are with their children now?
That is a...
Or are they doing something differently that you wish, why didn't I think of that?
No, you know what? Yes, I do have regrets, like everybody has. But I suppose then I give them the leverage that they are bringing up the kids to the changing times and what is required today. I was brought up in a relatively, not a strict home, but a different, from what today's, the kind of freedom that kids have today. And then getting married into a little conservative family. So I do feel the difference, and I don't always like it, how my children are bringing up the children. But then I also think that they are doing their best for their children as parents. So probably I should keep out of it. And
yes,
so
you
I
should.
do that.
Yes, you should.
But sometimes, once in a while, I do err, and I do say, do you think you should be doing that? We know what we are doing. Okay. So yes, I do. I don't always agree with them, because I'm still, at the end of the day, with my age, I'm still, live in my older days. But to go with the flow and not to be all the time being negative about it, I try and agree with them that what they're doing is right.
Yeah, I think as a parent or as a boss, it becomes important to sugarcoat the corrections and the insults, so that they're taken well and implemented. Otherwise, it only brings back resentment.
Yes, absolutely.
And I have done that myself so much that I'm very well aware of it. So I have made a rule for myself that if something is really bothering me about the way my child has done something, I will not bring it up that day. I'll allow myself cooling time. and then I'll bring it up the next day, because then I will be calmer and a bit more respectful and restrained than I would have been.
See, that is where she's my guru. I still have to learn that. I react very quickly and later on have regrets. So see, she's another guru.
No, I'm
so Vineeta ji in this aspect, definitely. Vineeta, now next time when I want to react very negatively, I'll think, see, Vineeta doesn't. She's far younger. I can also hold myself till the next day. So that's a one good point. Yeah.
No, I think it's also because I work so much with children, young children continuously. I have to be very mindful, because if I have a group of 6 with me, if I have to correct one person, how do I correct? Because if I don't correct, then I'm not doing my job right. If I correct them, I don't want them to feel small, that, oh, Miss Vineeta corrected me, but not the other person. So I have to go in a long-winded way and beat around the bush a little bit to come to the point. But then the moment I make the point, I always actually say immediately that what I'm saying is not for one person.
It's for all.
It's for all, for me too.
Yes.
So, and sometimes I find myself saying to my students that if I'm telling you something, I'm not just telling you, I'm actually telling myself too. I'm just talking loudly so I can hear myself and hopefully implement. So yeah, I think life is full of pivots. So you see, as a girl, you pivot, right? You're a daughter, then you get married into a family and you pivot into a new role of a wife and a daughter-in-law. And it's always a woman who has to go through more changes in life than a man.
Absolutely.
Then you become a mother. So that's a huge pivot. That's a physical, emotional, medical, spiritual, all kinds of pivots.
Yes, that's true.
And then raising a child. I mean, there's no book that tells you the exact formula, because there isn't one.
Yeah, it's only by experience and by... Yeah.
And your experience is different from mine, from your children, from everybody else. So there is no one book to be a good parent.
Absolutely.
So, it's something that we are learning on the go. So then, from being a full-time homemaker, then suddenly one day you said, I have all the space. I wonder what I can do with it to put it to good use. Tell us about that.
So yes, I always wanted to do something in my life just besides being a housewife, a mother, a daughter-in-law. So it was always there that I want to do something, but I could never really find my, what I wanted to do, the right path, the right decision. So this is about now 25 years ago, Ujjala happened in my life. I used to do a lot of social service through the Lions Club, and somehow it's a long story. So my 2 friends and I started a small organization called Ujjala for the visually impaired. Today it's very well known in Delhi. We have about 35 to 40 students at a time. So that has become my true happiness.
And Ujjala means?
Ujjala means light. So a lot of people ask me, isn't that contradictory to them being visually impaired? I said light is not only with sight, light can be from anywhere within. So we have brought this small little school from 6 students today to 35. We are totally independent and we have no financial help. But my boys have done so well. It's a moment of pride when they get jobs, they get married, they come here with their families, with their children. It's like, it brings tears. That is as I said, really brings tears to my eyes. When my boys have just got a job at a bank, some has got a job in a teaching with 1,80,000. You can't imagine, it's like my own children, getting somewhere. Then this was going on, and somehow I wanted to do something else different. So we had an empty little property from my sister-in-law, and I started Shamnath Villa, which is a boutique homestay in 2008 when the Commonwealth Games were going to happen. It was no looking back. I have made the most amazing friends through my hospitality. I have traveled a lot, but not with with somebody who's a local and you see their country through their eyes. So I've been to so many more countries with my guests who've become my friends, and we keep in touch. Sadly, I have lost 2-3 during COVID, English ladies, but I have the happiest memories of the happiest friends that I have made through my Shamnath Villa, and met a lot of professors, doctors, every field of education and every field of, different, whatever fields they come from, meeting them, learning from them. That breakfast table is my teaching table every morning. When they all sit down at breakfast and I sit with them and I see these American scholars teaching Sanskrit. I said, why Sanskrit? And when they give me the answer, I'm embarrassed. then why did I ask them that question, you know? So yes, this has been, even at this age, I don't want to share my age, whatever, I'm still learning. And I'm so happy that Shamnath Villa came into my life along with Ujjala, because that is how I complete my day between the two.
And it's fascinating when you decided to do this, because as we mentioned earlier, you come from a politically strong family.
Very, yes.
And the fact that your last name is Shamnath, you live on Shamnath Road in Shamnath Villa. So it's because the road is named after your father-in-law, who was the mayor of Delhi at one point.
He was first a freedom fighter. Then he was, after 1947, he was part of the central cabinet with Mr. Nehru for 15 years as the railway minister and information broadcasting minister, and he was also the mayor of Delhi. So yes, so I have come from a very well-connected political family, but none of his children or my children ever ventured out there. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. The family's pivoting too, so that's completely fine. But my fascination was that you come from a family like that. You're very well off. You really can easily pass time, talk to friends, hanging out, going out for lunches and kitties or whatever you could. But you decide to put yourself into Ujjala, the blind school that you've created. What a beautiful legacy that will be for the family to be so proud of forever, for eternity. And I'm sure it's most gratifying to you.
Very gratifying.
And then Shamnath Villa, the boutique homestay that you've created. And I told you, I looked you up. I mean, I know you very well, but I just wanted to see what ChatGPT had to say about you. So I looked up on ChatGPT. What can you tell me about Shalini Shamnath? And a lot of those reviews from her guests showed up, and it specifically talks about your communication skills. The fact that you also mentioned that you go to the breakfast table and it's your teaching time.
It's my teaching time.
You go there, you communicate with your guests, you make them feel like they're your personal guests.
I do. I love it.
Yes, and I have known that because you are full of stories about them to us.
Yes.
So the fact that there's such fondness in your voice when you talk about those connections that you've made. I mean, we just had mangoes at lunch. That was from one of your guests.
Yes, and the flowers.
And the flowers too.
Yeah.
So that relationship is purely through your communication with them that establishes such beautiful connections.
You know, I think it's my inherent character, like my father, that I could talk to a 2-year-old or a 100-year-old. Sometimes I tell my guests, do I give you a chance to talk, or do I speak too much? I love listening to their stories. I love sharing our culture, our heritage. I mean, we are not only a country with snake charmers and with cows and with whatever media shows. We are far deeper. And you know, when they go back, they have such a happier and more positive aspect and positive attitude towards us, and they feel, yes, we are a country to look up to and to respect. It's not only we are no more anyway a third world country. And when I share our backgrounds, our cultures, our stories, our epics, sometimes you're sitting at the breakfast table at 11 o'clock. They're supposed to be sightseeing and they're listening to us and discussing. And of course, I love hearing about their countries, about their lives. I've also been a counselor with a lot of young couples here. So it's been very interesting, very multi-vocational job that I do sometimes.
It's their opportunity to get to know up close and personal with a peek in the life of a family, because you live right next to Shamnath Villa. Your house is right adjacent to the Shamnath Villa, that homestay. So they see you personally living a certain way, and then they hear your experiences. So it's a different kind of learning for them, which they will never find in books.
Yes,
and I'm glad that you also mentioned that India is not just a country of snake charmers and cows and elephants
and beggars and poverty.
It is like we were talking earlier, that India is far more ahead in terms of treating women a certain way, even though wrong has happened too, but that continues to happen in all over the world. Women are disrespected all over the world and ill-treated all over the world, even in the developed nations.
I agree with you. I totally
agree. India still had a woman leader who ruled for a quarter of a century.
In the 60s.
In the 60s.
Yes.
So, that's commendable. And many developed nations still hesitate to give control to a woman. And I think the world needs a woman to run it and run it well.
Absolutely, I agree with you, because I see it in my husband's family, no matter how conservative and they were, but my sister-in-law, who's all of 86 now, was one of the most well-known ophthalmologists in England. She was one of the first to perform laser surgery on a 100-year-old cataract patient.
Wow.
And she's 86 now, so you can imagine in the 50s, she did her FRCS in England in those days, in the 60s. So how forward in that way, where they wanted to promote the women as much as the boys, so that they did not lack anything that the boys had, whether it was education or whether it was inheriting property, anything. So that is another thing that I learned in my in-laws' family, that girls are as equal and as important as the boys. Mm-hmm. And my mother-in-law, she was. I told you that when I was 21, she was 72. She was more educated in many ways than I was, because her father must have educated her. So yes, there was a lot of learning that I had in the Shamnath family, and I am so grateful to whatever I learned here and the foundation my father gave me and my mother, and the rest was the Shamnath home.
Well, life is a give and take, communication is a give and take. You gotta speak and you gotta listen, you gotta give and you gotta receive. And you will only receive if you're open to receiving.
Yes.
So nobody can give you any advice
unless you want to,
or unless you are receptive. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's definitely there. What has been your biggest challenge in terms of in any relationship, whether it's been as a daughter, as a wife, mother, daughter-in-law, a homestay queen, running Ujjala?
Yeah.
What has been one biggest challenge that comes to mind, if at all? If not, then that's okay too, but I'm just curious.
It's a very deep question, a very question that I need to think. I think being a mother was the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. To 3 children, 3, totally different, everybody's kids are. And I didn't know when I was right and when I was wrong. And yes, so I can say that my biggest challenge as a role was as a mother.
I often wonder, now that you mentioned that the biggest challenge was of being a mother, do you think it's because we as mothers feel that somebody's going to tell me that I'm not doing this right with my child, I should raise them differently, and it is the world's opinion that I'm worrying about? Is that?
No. At that time there was nobody actually to tell you that whether you were bringing up your children correctly or not. It was sometimes, and I didn't even think of it that whether I was bringing them correctly or not. It was just a tussle between their forward way of thinking in those days, and I was still living in my days. Mm-hmm. So I did not know how to adapt to the changing times probably. Mm-hmm. And I do blame myself sometimes for getting into arguments or whatever. I should have. But there was one negative aspect about me. I was a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted them to excel in their education, which was wrong at that time. Mm-hmm. I realized later. So I used to get very upset, worried, or angry sometimes if the report cards were not as good as they should have been. So now when I think, and I think about it, that I was wrong in those days. But then the kids did do well finally. So I forgive myself for being an over strict mother and kind of pushing them that they have to do music, they have to do this, because I see that the kids doing far more today than even my kids could have done in those days.
Well, that's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's no one formula, so we're all trying to figure it out hands-on.
Hands-on, yeah.
Right?
But I didn't always make the right decisions. I know I made a lot of mistakes, and I did. One day I was sitting and I was thinking, why did I do it? So I did send all my 3 kids one mail, going back to many years, remembering 1 or 2 incidents, apologizing now.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm sharing that today.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And that's interesting. So we've all matured, right?
Yes.
They matured too.
Yeah.
So you know what? I've noticed one thing about my experience as a mother and a wife. I feel when I felt, my husband, my children, my family,
Yes, the possessiveness.
The possessiveness, and as if that was a reflection of who I was.
Yeah.
The moment I shed that yes, it's all my family.
They were happier and you would have been happier.
There was peace.
Yeah,
I think there was more internal peace for myself.
Yes.
Because then I let go and I just started seeing it as their journey.
Yes.
So
that is the biggest realization. As mothers or as parents, it's their journey and this is our journey.
that is true.
Yeah. We can be there for them when they need us as guide, but we cannot be with them all the time. And we cannot be part of their wrong or right decisions also. We can always guide them, but because now the times have changed, Vineeta, a lot. During when I was bringing up my kids in 70s and 80s, it was still not, the social media was not there so much. So they still fell back on the parents for a lot of things. But now friends are very important. In those days, friends were not that important. They still came back to the family. So I've seen the changing times, and I feel probably for those days we did what was best. We thought maybe it was not best at every stage. But whatever we thought was best, we did do, and if there were mistakes, I still apologize to them.
But I've noticed one thing. You said friends have become very important now, but I think that's only on the surface. The layers underneath are all
Always
about
family.
All about
I'm
family.
so happy
I'm
with
all
that.
about family. Whether
Yeah.
it's, I know your children too.
Yeah. You know them. One is like your third child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I see that. I think family means a whole lot to your children and to mine too. And that's very heartening because I didn't have to tell them. They know it. They felt it, and they stuck on. They clung on to it. The anchor. That's the axis they rotate around.
But one thing, I've always told my family, my children, my granddaughters, especially my daughter, that the way Vineeta I'm not saying it because it's for other people to listen to, but the way I used to come every year to you. The way you used to bring up the children as friends. I never saw Shivangi hesitate not sharing something. Sometimes even sitting in your lap as a 20.
Oversharing.
And I loved it. And I used to tell Aditi, this is how a mother should bring up their kids. Discipline, okay, teach them what's right. But at the same time, they're so comfortable with their mother, they can come and talk to her about everything.
Because I realized very early on that if like I said, I've learned to not comment or react in that moment. I'll comment the next day, 24 hours later, because if I comment in that moment, they're going to shut down completely and I'll not hear anything beyond that. And I don't want to be outcast.
That is a mistake I made in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I did not do what you did. And I would probably react at the same time. So they would clamp up then,
Now in my mind, the thought is running as to why I reacted differently. I think that also may have been because I moved countries.
Yes.
There was nobody closely watching me. I felt free to raise the children the way I wanted to.
Yes, that's
You did not have that.
I had my mother-in-law for a few years, so she was...
You had everybody around you.
Yes, I know.
So there are 10 million people trying to give their expert opinion.
Yes, yes.
So that may have been the problem or the issue at your end that steered you in another direction.
You're very right.
With
Now,
me, there was nobody observing,
yes.
nobody commenting, and I think that's what probably I may have achieved moving to another country. That little level of freedom.
Not freedom, also I admire you for it, that in spite of not having anybody to really guide you, you brought up your kids so well. There was nobody to tell you whether you were doing right or wrong because you were on your own. You just moved.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, you did a wonderful job. I used to admire you every time I came. I'm much, much older, and I used to see, I said, why didn't I do this what Vineeta's doing today?
No, that's very sweet of you.
No, it's not. But this is a very, like a conversation where I can tell you that it's a fact. You brought up your kids in a very, very well. I was always very admiring.
Well, I don't know about that. Time only will tell how well they've been raised, but they are good kids. Your kids are amazing children as well. They're all brilliant, all three of them. But I think, life is a process of learning.
Yes,
so
it is always a process of learning.
We're all trying our best. And I think I have a tendency of just taking in from, I take in a lot from you, from each one that I come across, younger and older.
But at every age, you can always learn.
Yes.
There's no age bar that because I'm so old, I've learned. It never stops.
Yeah, and I resented when somebody told me, this is the way it is supposed to be because I say so, because I'm older. I resented that, so I've never done that to anybody. Not to my children, not to my students, because that's not fair.
That's not fair. I don't think it has any reasonable, that you can say that because I'm older I'm wiser.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
Yeah. No, it's been great. So I think a lot of takeaways from today's talk.
Yes, but the last thing is that now in my autumn years, as I call them my autumn years, I'm so thankful to God that I have created two beautiful whatever in my life where they keep me so happily busy and give me so much of peace and so much of achievement that even if 2 boys in 2 months get jobs, I feel wow, it's a drop in the ocean, but it is a drop in the ocean. And then I meet these amazing guests there and learn from them and tell them about our country. Then I feel wow, I've achieved another brownie point by telling them that our country is much more than what they came to as, thinking what it is. So I am so thankful for these two entities in my life, Ujjala and Shamnath Villa. And of course my family who've always supported me, my husband has always been there for that, and my kids have taken so much pride in whatever I do, so that gives me more encouragement that everybody is behind me, so I can go forward even now.
That's true. I'm so glad that you brought it about, because a lot of times husbands will not let the wife step forward, and many times actually a lot of people say that to me also, that he's the wind beneath your wings, and I totally agree with that.
I agree with Arun also.
Yeah.
He's always encouraged me to do whatever I wanted to do. Yes.
Yeah, so that you can really spread your wings.
Yes.
And then you feel a little more, you'll feel stronger when your partner shows that kind of faith in your abilities.
And respect.
And respect. Yeah,
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I'm going to share details on the podcast about Ujjala and about Shamnath Villa, and chat GPT, and then you'll find more
And one
information.
last thing.
Yes.
I love animals. So
Yes,
I have
yes.
30 beautiful dogs with their names who I've been feeding for the past 24 years. And so I just want to bring that be kind to animals.
Be
That's
kind.
all. They have a soul, they can't speak. Just be kind to them. I see people abusing them, cutting them, throwing stuff. It breaks my heart and makes me mad.
Yes.
So this is the last thing, be kind to animals. They have souls and I love them. And yes, so between my Ujjala, Shamnath Villa and my beautiful pack of dogs I feed every day when I walk, yes.
That is also communication with another species.
It is. And they all know me so well. The love I get from them is unbelievable.
You go there every day.
Every day to feed them. If I'm traveling, somebody goes to feed them.
On your behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've known them before and you'll see them again.
I know. So I hope so. They'll come into my life in another form.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was apprehensive that what is Vineeta going to ask me, because I don't know, she's so good at words, she's so good at her articulation, and I'm whatever.
No, I think that about you.
No,
It's a very mutual admiration society.
I know, it has always been from the day you got married.
Oh,
Yeah.
but thank you, and thank you for making
Yes.
an appearance on Oats Uncut.
And thank you for whenever you listen to us, and hope to hear more of your oat uncuts.
Yes, and
Yes.
I'm sure people will learn a lot from this conversation, and stay tuned for many more inspiring conversations.
Yes.
Keep talking, keep listening, and keep building relationships.
Yes.
Be well, be safe. Remember to love and to laugh, and have a blast.
Thank you. Thank you.